Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to break down a really cool piece of hidden engineering, the rock-solid, crystal-clear FM radio signal. You know, the one that somehow stays perfectly locked on your favorite station, no matter what. Let's get into it. I mean, seriously, have you ever really thought about that? You tune your car to, say, 98.7 FM, and it just stays there. It's perfectly clear, totally stable for your whole drive. Well, that stability is no accident. It's actually the solution to a massive engineering challenge. So here's the fundamental problem. To put music or a voice onto a radio wave, that's a process called modulation. You literally have to change or kind of wiggle its frequency. But here's the catch. The very act of messing with the frequency can make the whole signal unstable. And for a broadcaster, that's an absolute nightmare. And you can really see the issue right here. The direct method, that's on the left, it tries to just force an oscillator to carry the audio signal. And this creates what engineers call inherent carrier instability. Basically, the signal itself becomes wobbly and unreliable. For broadcasting, that's a total non-starter. You just can't have it. This is where the real genius comes in. The engineers realize that trying to force a stable frequency to become unstable and then somehow stable again, that was just the wrong way to think about it. The real solution was to come at the problem from a completely different and way cleverer angle. And here it is. This is that brilliant workaround. Instead of wrestling directly with the signal's frequency, they decided to manipulate something else entirely, the phase of the wave. This was the big aha moment that changed everything, and it's called the indirect method. So what in the world is phase modulation? Okay, think of a wave like a spinning jump rope. Phase modulation doesn't change how fast the rope is spinning, that's the frequency. Instead, it just slightly nudges the rope forward or backward in its rotation. It's that tiny little shift where the audio signal gets embedded. And the crucial insight is right here in this equation. Just look at how the message signal, that part in yellow, is put directly into the phase part of the wave. It's not touching the frequency at all. We are just, poking the phase. But wait a minute. If we only changed the phase, how do we end up with frequency modulation? Well, this is the really beautiful part. A fundamental law of physics basically gives us an incredible free gift. Okay, now this might sound a little technical, but I promise it's the absolute key to everything. It just means that frequency is simply the speed at which the phase is changing. Think of it like a car, right? Its position is its phase, and its speed is its frequency. You can't change the car's speed without also, by definition, changing its position over time. Phase and frequency are just fundamentally locked together. And this is a perfect way to picture it. We gently manipulate the phase on the left, and nature's own time derivative engine automatically translates that into a clean change in frequency on the right. Calculus itself does all the heavy lifting for us, converting our stable little phase shifts into perfect frequency modulation. It's amazing. Okay, so that's the theory. It's pretty cool, right? But how do you actually build a machine that does all this? So let's break down the actual system architecture, piece by piece. It really boils down to a simple two-step process. First, you create a very stable but also very subtle modulated signal. This is what we call narrowband FM. Then, second, you take that subtle signal and you carefully scale it way up to the power and range you need for broadcasting. So let's look at stage one. First, the audio message, your music, goes into an integrator, which just gets it ready for phase modulation. At the exact same time, a super stable crystal oscillator generates a perfect carrier wave. And finally, a balanced modulator combines the two. What comes out is our foundation, a perfectly stable but low-power, narrow-band FM signal. Now for stage two, we gotta scale this thing up. That stable signal goes through a chain of frequency multipliers. Now, these things act kind of like a signal amplifier, but they stretch it in two ways. They boost the carrier frequency up to its final spot on the FM dial, like our 98.7, and they expand the modulation to create that rich, high-fidelity sound we all expect. A final power amp just gives it the muscle to get to your radio's antenna. And what I personally find so incredible about this whole process is the direct one-to-one connection between abstract mathematics and the actual physical hardware. It's just beautiful. Look at this. This slide says it all. The mathematical idea of taking an integral becomes a physical integrator block. The need for a highly stable frequency is met by a real, physical crystal oscillator. The math isn't just describing the system, the math is the blueprint for the system. It's unbelievably elegant. And that really brings us to the core takeaway here. The indirect method isn't just some clever hack or a workaround. It is the physical manifestation of calculus. It starts with an unshakably stable crystal, and by leveraging the fundamental laws of physics, it produces a perfect, broadcast-ready FM signal.
And that kind of leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? The next time you're just cruising in your car, listening to the radio, take a second to remember the incredible dance of calculus and electronics that's happening behind the scenes to make it all possible. It really makes you wonder, what other invisible marvels of engineering are all around us, just hiding in plain sight?